Hey, I'm Shonduras. I'm a professional fun haver. I do Snapchats and YouTube videos. Oh, nope. And I'm supposed to say, and this is behind the brand. Let me just try that again. What's up? I'm Shonduras. I gotta say what I am, and then, okay, I got it. I'm not trying to blow this. Go. What's up? I'm Shonduras, professional fun haver. You're watching Behind the Brand with Brian Elliott.
Hey, I'm Brian Elliott. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. Today I'm here with the incredible Shonduras. Sean, thank you for inviting us to your space station.
Of course.
I usually ask my guests, how'd you get this job?
A jewelry boutique. I started a jewelry store and it kind of turned into this, which is a weird story, but that's why we're here. Let's tell it.
How did that get started?
So I was working at a snowboard shop. My parents like, go to college, figure out what you want to do with your life. I was like, dang, I guess I got to figure out what I want to do with my life. So I went to college, was taking classes, and everyone's like, you know, own your own business, entrepreneurship, be motivated. I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. Like, I want to be my own boss. And I found the first opportunity with the skate shop. They were going to change management, and the guy was moving on to another opportunity. And so I was like the owner of this new skate shop, and it was super exciting. The best part about working at a skate shop is you're your own boss. You just kind of hang out, watch skate videos all day. Worst part about working at a skate shop is you just kind of hang out and watch skateboard videos all day. You don't really have customers, so sales weren't going through. That's why I figured out I need to like figure out online, like the internet, e-commerce, and that's how the jewelry boutique started, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. I want to back up just a little bit and tell me, you know, let's go back to maybe like young Sean and like, what did you want to be when you grew up? A
professional skateboarder. So you eat Pop-Tarts and skateboard all day. Yeah.
And where do you think that came from? Like, did you have skate influences?
I like it. It's creative. Like, it's an outlet. It's something that I can focus on and like get better at and be creative and do in a unique way. And it's just fun to do with my friends.
Were you always a good skateboarder, or did you have to work at it?
I mean, I had to work on it, practice, and I skateboarding, snowboarding. I rode motocross for a while. Just all of that fun stuff.
And talk about your family a little bit. So, what was it like growing up? Give us some context where we are right now.
Yeah, so live in Utah, super good family. Parents are divorced, but got remarried, so I kind of have like two families. They're both awesome. Super supportive of my skateboarding. They're like, this is what you want to do, and like keeps you busy and focused. That's awesome. So I remember my parents would come to my skateboard contests, and they were awesome. They're supportive of it, so that was cool.
And so then that got you into, so bring us up to the point where you started this jewelry business. How did that all start? Yeah,
so skate shop. Killing it, except for I wasn't killing it, like wasn't making any money. It was just the coolest job ever, but I didn't really make any money. I was like, man, I got to figure this out. Biggest competitors were online, people buying stuff and, you know, free returns, big discounts for Cyber Monday, stuff like that, and I couldn't compete. So I was going to start selling skateboards and snowboards online. I started building out that business, but one thing I'm really passionate about is like working smarter, not harder necessarily. So I wanted to do it the right way. Yeah. And as I was getting ready to launch this like online skateboard, snowboard business, I was like, you know, I still have the same like young turds I'm trying to sell to. It's like a teenager demographic. They don't have money, and I should probably figure out this e-commerce thing, but do something that has a larger demographic and a bigger audience to sell to. Didn't know how I was going to do that. Looked into Google SEO and creating a website, and I was like, dang, this is all way over my head. And then I realized Facebook was right there, and this was like, I don't know, 8 years ago, like 2008, 2009. Guess who owned Facebook at that time? Moms. They completely took over Facebook. Like,
how old were you at the time?
I was, I don't know, I'm just gonna make it up. I think maybe 23.
So were you single man, you know?
No, I was married. We lived in an apartment, and I didn't have, that's another thing, to buy skateboards and snowboards in bulk so I could have a good like margin of selling them online. I just didn't have anywhere to place those, where I found this demographic on Facebook that I could sell to, and then also buying jewelry in bulk wasn't as expensive and it took up less space, so it just seemed like the smarter play. And I didn't really expect the business to work. It was more just like, I want to learn about e-commerce and learn more about building businesses. Yeah. And then it ended up working, which was awesome. And the main reason it worked was because of Facebook, like the social media platform. I got on there, I created the Facebook page, and it was really engaged. Like the ladies that helped me name the Facebook, like the boutique was called Our World Boutique, and we traveled all over and did cool stuff. And like anchors from let's see, travel over. We just had like all our products were like very travel oriented, compasses and anchors and stuff like that, and the ladies loved it.
That's awesome. I'm just trying to get a vibe for why.
Oh, it was a weird vibe.
Well, no, not for the jewelry business. No, I kind of get that. Like, that sort of is like something you had to do, or you pivoted because you saw the market opportunity. But I'm just trying to maybe get a little bit of the emotion behind you having to kind of give up what you loved to do in the beginning, which was skateboarding, right? Having that skate business, you saw that maybe the people that you're trying to sell to didn't have much money, or maybe at the time, you know, it was, you didn't have the capacity, or you didn't have the warehouse to stock boards, or whatever it was. So what was that like? Was that difficult to pivot? Or?
No, because I still had my skate shop and I still skated all the time. It was just like my life was running a skate shop, skateboarding on my own, hanging with friends. But then like there were these weird 2 or 3 hours at the end of the night where I'd like run the Facebook page and box and ship jewelry, and that only lasted like a week or two, and then the orders got to be so ridiculous that I hired my sisters out to help me ship jewelry, and I just paid them in pizza. And then after a week or two, we got beyond that point, and I had to actually partner with someone who had like a big warehouse, which, fun fact, this exact building, but like a couple units over, was the warehouse I used for the jewelry boutique. That's how I found out about this building like 5 years ago. And so I had them drop ship everything, and they were running, like, they would receive product, get the orders. And so basically at that point I was only running the front facing stuff, the Facebook, and it was all based off of engagement and fun little giveaways and asking the ladies like what they wanted me to do next. And so I learned the power of social media. That's really what built that business. It wasn't my products or my website or anything else. It was all based off that Facebook storefront. And that's how I learned the power of social media, and then I went from there.
Yeah, the reason I want to talk less about, you know, the nuts and bolts of how you started that business, and more about the emotion. You know, a lot of people who watch this show, they're entrepreneurs, they're thinking about starting their own company, or they're currently in the struggle, right? And the struggle is real. And so I want to maybe ask more about how you felt during those times where you were compelled to start this new business, because when you had your skate shop, you know, you're saying all you did is watch skate videos. That's cool, but like, sounds like the motivation to start this new jewelry business was because you had to. Like, you had to pay rent, or maybe you know, a young married man at the time, and you had to support this family. What was that like? Did you feel pressure from the outside? Like, did your wife or like family or friends say like, hey dude, you know, this is not working, you got to get a real job? What was that like? I
felt like the best way to do it was take somewhere that already had an audience, like Facebook, and just leverage that audience to know about my product. And I mean, it was definitely a scary jump, but I had to focus on something because the physical business wasn't working. So I went for the online stuff. Luckily, I made the decision to transition over to jewelry instead of do the skateboard, snowboard stuff, because that was a good fit. But
did you have anyone outside, you know, giving you advice or help or guidance? Like, did you have a mentor at the time?
One of the guys who ran the skate shop with me, like before that he like hired me, he was giving me tips because he had some online businesses as well, and his is the warehouse that's actually right over here that I started shipping from. So he had an online store, and so he kind of gave me some pointers and stuff like that. And
how about your dad? Where's your dad in all this?
So at that time I was married, and so it was less about my family and more about my new family, like with my wife. We were recently married, we were both just getting through college, so we're trying to pay off student loans, and that was obviously a big stress. Like everyone wants you to go to college and be successful, but that puts me more in debt. And so this business was something to try and like, hopefully it works, because if not, I'd be like struggling to get the business to meet ends and paying student loans and trying to study all the time. It was very busy. It was essentially like I had 3 jobs, like full-time student, working at owning a skate shop, and then a new startup selling stuff online, which happened to be jewelry, which is weird anyways. So it was a stressful time.
Did you end up getting like undergraduate? You have a PhD? Like, how much schooling did you get done?
Got my doctorate, so I'm actually Dr. Duras now. Just kidding, I made all that up. No, I graduated though, but I got my bachelor's degree. I got it in technical sales, which is a weird, I don't even think there's many colleges that have that like route, but it actually worked out really good because it was from Weber State University. I learned personality profiling, people skills, sales, negotiations, stuff like that. So really how to like sell yourself, how to work with other people, how to like position a product to like make sense, win-win situations, that kind of stuff, which everyone knows are important, but I learned how to like leverage that and do them well, I guess.
So in 2008, 2009, you're starting to kill it in social media space. When did you discover Snapchat?
Yeah, so Jewelry Boutique worked out. That was amazing. After like 6 or 8 months or so, I'd like got all my loans paid off. I wasn't in debt anymore, and the business was still cranking. I was like, this is awesome, but it's ultimately not what I want to do. So I sold that, and then I used that money to like kind of keep me going while I looked for what my next big opportunity was. Still love skateboarding, snowboarding, also sold the shop at that time, and I started as a sales rep for skateboard, snowboard companies. So I did some traveling and learned more, you know, customer service, people skills, selling.
How was that, you know, going to work for someone else after you had sort of been your own boss and been successful?
Well, it was fine because it was an amazing opportunity. Like I was working for skateboard companies and hanging out with pro skateboarders and slinging their products. So it was interesting having to report back to someone, but it was also like less stressful because for the past couple of years I'd been reporting to myself, and if everything wasn't working, it was my fault. Where like this other job, I was trying my hardest, but if it wasn't working, it's like, well, hopefully they make money. I'm just doing my part. It was going like a year really good, and then the second year is when I had all these cool opportunities. I was hanging out with pro snowboarders and backstage at concerts and all this stuff, and one of my younger sisters was like, oh, you should do this Snapchat thing where you like send us pictures so we know what you're doing all the time. And I was like, Snap what? Like, check it out. I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, Snapchat had been around before, but no one really knew about it. It was right when it was starting to pick up traction, but no one really used it. And so, yeah, I picked up the Snapchat thing, and it was interesting because I was never an artist, but I was always like creative, like skateboarding's creativity in a way. So I just found things that looked like they could be molded a little bit. So for example, a slippery when wet sign. There's a guy like falling on a slippery or wet sign, and he's like this, and I drew a dinosaur under him so it looks like he's riding a dinosaur, you know, and just like got creative with like that. And I started documenting all my travels, and about 2 weeks into that, you know, I just had some of my closest friends following me, and someone posted something on Reddit and it kind of blew up, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I started looking at the angles, and I was like, I heard about YouTubers who did cool content on YouTube and worked with brands, and it was their job. And then at that time, Vine was taking off, and Viners were making silly videos for 6 seconds and making really good money doing it. And I was like, wow, I wonder if Snapchat could kind of be the next platform to tell a brand's story, but in a unique way. I mean, from launching the Jewelry Boutique on Facebook, I learned a lot about social media. Like the engagement's the most important part, and getting people to interact and feel a part of what you're building. Right. And Snapchat was perfect for that because you had their full attention. They had to hold their finger down on the screen originally to use Snapchat, so you had that full attention. Also, there's this like social psychology part behind it where, like on Instagram, it doesn't disappear, but do you ever go back through people's Instagram feeds and look at old posts? Not really, but you have this feeling of like, oh, it's always there. I'll like check it out later. You scroll past. With Snapchat, you only had one opportunity. You could never see it again. So even though, yeah, exactly. Like it was this thing like, well, this is my one chance. So they completely absorbed the content. Also, you had stories, so I could in real time ask my fans like, what do you think? Where should we go? And they'd respond like, hey, I'm at the airport. I'm going to buy a ticket to one of these 3 countries. Where should we go? And literally my fans chose a country I went to one day. And it was just like, whoa, that was awesome. Like I had no idea I was going there. My fans just decided for me. So it had all those factors that like looked like what would be important for a platform to be successful and be able to tell a story for a brand. So I started creating more content, started focusing more on building my audience and leveraging that. And then goal for me was to, one, have fun and be positive and motivate people, but also be able to work with brands and have it be my job is to create cool content on social media. So I think I went after it with good intentions. Like I wanted to create cool content, motivate people, but I also knew that I wanted to build a job out of it, which is, I think, what set me apart. You don't hear a lot of people that are like famous Snapchatters, like they went viral on Snapchat. It's because the platform wasn't really built to like make people famous, but because that was my intention of like being able to build a job out of it, I treated it like a business and I had fun with it, but I was also like, every day I got to post. I need to get featured in articles. I need to do collaborations. Like I ran it like a business, and I think that's where I was able to find success in it.
Yeah. Talk to me about your motivation, because that's also, I think, unique. I'd like to find out like where that comes from. So your vlog is very much the same way, like best day ever.
Yeah.
And you talk about it, you know, threads of it are coming through as I hear you talking about your business plans. It's all about motivating people. So why? And where does that come from?
So that's actually a really cool story, and it's also neat because it ties back into my name. Before, I went to Honduras for 2 years and did like a service mission helping people, and before that I was just like skater dude. All I cared about was skateboarding, hanging with my friends and whatever else, eating cereal. Like that was like what was like the most important thing to me is skateboarding and cereal. then I went to Honduras and I realized the world's so different everywhere. Like there's such a diversity. Like these people didn't have that much, but they were so grateful for what they did have, and they were so nice, and they were appreciated everything so much, and helping them, I could see a change in them and make them happy. And like, it was just a really cool experience. I was there for 2 years, which really integrated into who I became. And it was during an important 2 years, right? As I was like going from teenager to like an adult. And so when I came home back from Honduras, I had this new sense of like, I want to do something important with my life. Like, yes, I like skateboarding and eating cereal, but I want to do something where I'm like influencing others to like live life to the fullest. And like, I want to keep sharing this message of like positivity kind of thing. And so I didn't know what that was exactly. And I think that's why I just went to college, because like when you don't know what to do, just listen to your parents and go to college. And it kind of led me down this path. But that's where the name Shonduras came from. Sean came home from Honduras, and then people called me Shonduras. And it's cool because it's very meaningful of like when I kind of grew up and like got this new like sense of like wanting to make a difference.
So motivation, I think, is a great intention, and I think you are doing great things. I think you're having a profound effect on a lot of people.
Yeah.
As I go and do deep dive into the comments of some of your videos, and I look at your audience from the outside, it seems like great things are happening. But what do you do to stay motivated? Talk about the days when you are not motivated, if there are any. Because I know everyone struggles with this, right? Like I'm in a really good mood right now, but like maybe something happens tomorrow and I'm not in that good a mood. It's like, so give us some maybe like life tips or advice about how you stay positive, how you keep it real, how you stay grateful.
Two things here. Thing number one is, in Honduras, I really did learn to always make the best out of every situation, like try and make every day the best day ever. That was like a motto that I picked up in Honduras, because difficult things would happen every single day. It was really hot and there wasn't much food, and then there was a flood and we were living in hard conditions, and so you just really had to make the best out of everything. And I kind of brought that home with me, and then once I was home, like everything was so amazing here in Utah, like I couldn't help but be grateful for everything I had. And then it was also this thing where you drop your phone, the screen breaks, your options are be frustrated and have a bad day, or just it happened and just find the best solution and move on. So I can honestly say I'm usually in a good mood and pretty motivated. The difficult part for me though is that I'm so motivated that I see all these little projects, like we're running like 4 businesses out of this space right now, and sometimes I start to focus a lot on, we have like an eSports gaming division we're working on. I start to get really focused on that, and then like I lose motivation to make the videos because I'm so excited about this new project. Or like I have another new project I'm working on, I'm so excited, and we're like going like heads down over here, and then like I don't put as much attention on the videos. So it's not that I'm not motivated sometimes, and vice versa. It switches around. Like I'll be so focused on my videos that all I want to do is film cool content, and it's like, oh, I have like 10 emails I need to get to today. So I think that's where the challenge comes in, to stay motivated. It's like staying motivated within everything I need to do, because I love spending time with my family. I love filming videos. I love running my businesses, but I need to like spread out the motivation equally across all the things I need to do.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of good things there. I want to unpack just a little bit more. Yeah. And maybe this is a good segue into talking about mistakes. I think there's a stigma behind making mistakes, or doing it the wrong way, or it can be argued that there is no wrong way. Yeah. And I think maybe a lot of people who watch this too, they're looking at you as maybe a role model or potential mentor from the outside looking in. What mistakes do you think you've made? It sounds like you struggle a little bit with balancing out those business units, but like, what other significant mistakes have you learned up to date? We have to get it wrong before we get it right. It's
kind of interesting. I think the answer to this question is like, some of my biggest mistakes are also some of my like biggest successes. So when you move really fast and make quick decisions, and you're just confident and you work really hard to make something happen, like you just know what's going to happen, that determination, usually it happens. And I think that's like why I've been so successful. It's like, I want to build a business out of Snapchat. I did it. And then I was like, I want to build a business out of YouTube. Like I want to transition to YouTube because it feels more long-term than Snapchat does.
So I want to ask you about that too. I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, so was that a conscious decision, or did you get a lot of advice from some of these YouTuber friends who maybe influenced you to do it, to make the jump from Snapchat, or maybe you didn't want to spend, maybe they suggested you didn't spend a lot of time on Vine. Yeah. Like why did you jump from Snap to YouTube?
I mean, it was a conscious decision on my part because I knew Snapchat, one, didn't work with creators. They didn't really care about us, and they were very difficult to work with. And so it's like hard that my entire like business structure was based off a platform that didn't care about me. Like, that's a scary business model. But I was able to do it, so I didn't want to give that up, but I wanted to diversify. So I knew I wanted to go to YouTube. But yeah, I looked to some of my really good friends at the time were like Casey Neistat and Devin Supertramp, What's Inside, and I like asked them what they were doing on YouTube, and they helped give me some tips, and they also agreed that like it would be smart to transition. So
what kind of tips did they give you? Like, so you do a daily vlog now, right?
So that was one of them. Casey's like, yeah, the algorithm really favors like consistency, daily uploads, watch time, etc. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do that. And he's like, no, seriously, do daily. I'm like, I think I might do weekly. He's like, no, do daily. So I came home and I started a weekly vlog, and it didn't work for the first like 6 or 7 weeks. I mean, it was all right. And I was like, yeah, I should probably just do daily. And so
how do you decide what's not working? Like, is it the vanity metrics, like views and subs, or like what wasn't working?
Everything about it. So my life was so like action-packed with doing work on Snapchat and also building these new businesses, and I had just had a new baby and like all this stuff that if you take all that content into one video and make a weekly recap, it's just like a highlight reel. There's no story, there's no personality. It's just like crazy things happening, where daily you can really tell a story and break out what's happening. So the content wasn't working, but also the views weren't working. Like, the algorithm wasn't really favoring me. And once I started to go daily, I could tell that my videos did get recommended more, and my watch time on my channel went up. And that's part of the game, so you gotta play it.
Yeah, so maybe give some advice to these other either aspiring YouTubers or people who've got a channel up and going. Like, if subs and views are not the main metric, like how else can we measure success? And then like, how long do you give this, with quotes, you know, this great idea until you cut bait? How do you know when it's not working?
Yeah, so I think that goes back to like the question I was trying to answer earlier, where you're like, what are like some of your failures or mistakes? And I think that same thing is like acting fast, just going all in, having full confidence and going for it. Those have created some of my biggest successes, Snapchat, YouTube, the eSports stuff. But that quick acting and just like going for it, determination, has also created some of my biggest mistakes. Like, we once went really hard into live stream on YouTube. We were like, no one's really doing this, and it's really amazing, and we're really good like on camera live. We like the feeling of interacting with our audience live in the moment. So we went like all in on it. We're like, let's just see if this like blows up our watch time and is like a new niche for us. And it ended up not working. It really hurt our channel, and the numbers went down, and people didn't like it, and then our algorithm was all mixed up. And so like, there's a direct change in how many views we used to get after we started this new live stream model. And so that was like a mistake that I made. But if you don't take those kind of chances, that same chance is what made me pop on Snapchat, what made me pop on YouTube, and what made some of these other businesses work. So I think the answer, I don't even know what the question is anymore, but the answer that I'm gonna give you is that any opportunity, you gotta find the smallest opportunity and just turn it into something big. Like, full confidence, work super hard, head down, and either it will work out really well, or it could end up being a mistake, but you don't know. And I don't know when you really label it as a success or a mistake. I think you just gotta give it it's just a gut feeling. You give it its run, let it run its course, and then see if it's working or not.
For the people who haven't seen your YouTube channel, break it down for us. What can we expect when we visit your channel?
I don't even know. That's why you come, because you don't know what to expect. I film my life every single day. I didn't want to do a vlog, because a vlog feels very like, here's my to-do list today. Okay, now we're going here. Now we're doing this. It's like, why do you want to watch someone else live? Like, go out and live life to the fullest. So I feel like the goal for my videos are more motivational. Like, this is how you make it the best day ever, where I'm like stuck in the airport or miss my flight. Like, I'm still gonna go find a candy store, skateboard in the airport, like have fun and make it the best day ever. Like, no matter what happens, put a positive twist on it and turn it into an awesome day.
So is it you, single camera, you know, kind of vlog style, or?
That's all over the place. We have drones we film with sometimes. It's like me, single camera. Sometimes I'll just whip out my cell phone in the moment and get a shot. Sometimes I'll be traveling to New York all day, so I'll have the camera stay here with these guys and they'll mess around, and we unbox stuff, fans mail us stuff. We go on the roof once a week to do something silly. Like, we kind of just do whatever we want. It's a pretty cool job. And then we really focus, like we're having fun, but we're really focused on the back end strategy as well. Like how we make our thumbnails and our tags and the description, and then how we word things and make sure we bring in the excitement and it's not boring. And yeah.
So let's talk business for a little bit too. So the business of YouTube, is the monetization part of it for you all about, you know, the views and watch time? Is it the YouTube monetization tool that you're making your income, or do you have other streams, like you're doing brand deals or talk to us about how you're making money how you're making a business out of YouTube.
Yeah, I think everyone's business model is a little bit different, especially in social media. I think a lot of channels rely heavily on AdSense. They get really good views, they focus on their content and growth, and that's how they make most of their money. My business, I set it up in a way that I like to partner with people. I liked projects and working on things and sharing things with my audience. And so I went more the brand deal model. I became really close with a lot of agencies and a lot of different brands. And also I don't live in LA or New York, so I didn't have like this big agency managing me and doing everything, and then I was just kind of like a puppet that would make the video for them. I really enjoyed the business side of how did this brand deal work, and like what are the deliverables, and how can we make this better? Instead of me just like checking off the boxes, like how could I over deliver and like set the brand up to be a hero in my video? Like, we're doing this today because this brand made it possible. Like, they came in and like they're the hero of this content. And that was fun and exciting for me, and using that strategically, and I saw the opportunity. Like, a lot of marketing and advertising is moving off of linear television and billboards, and it's moving into digital and apps and social media content. And so I saw a huge opportunity there. So I wanted to learn more about it and not just be like the puppet that's like making money while my channel's important, but really understand the whole, I guess, ecosystem of how like digital marketing works. And I wanted to create the videos, but I also wanted to understand the contract and how that all functions. And so that was my focus. And I would say for me, it's definitely more about brand deals and partnership opportunities and sponsorships than it just is the AdSense for my videos and growth and numbers.
So we're sitting against the cereal wall. I want to ask what this is all about, but also, do you have a brand deal with one of these cereal companies?
No, like it's I'm super passionate about cereal, and so I don't want to mess that up and be biased towards one specific cereal necessarily. It's something I love, and it's all my fans love it. And like, kids grow up eating cereal, and their parents are like, don't eat cereal, it's not healthy. And like, then they turn into adults and start eating real food. And I'm like, kids, you can keep eating cereal forever. That's my message, my motto. But no, so I enjoy all types of cereal, and I didn't want to like make things complicated by partnering with one specific cereal. But I do have partners in other categories. Like, one of my favorite places to go get food all throughout high school was Taco Bell. And so like, when I was able to build that partnership with them, it's like, cool, this is something I actually really love. I can partner with them and show my audience like the new stuff that's coming out and how they're doing cool stuff on Snapchat before anyone else. And then I also have partnerships with Samsung, which is like the phone I used like from my very first phone when I was 15 years old all the way up until now. I've always had a Samsung phone. And so that's an obvious partnership that makes sense, and just kept getting those partnerships along the way. And that kind of led me to where I'm at right now, being able to do brand deals and all that.
That's awesome. So we're in the space station.
Yes.
Why is it named the space station, and tell us what that is all about?
When we first started making the videos, we needed computers to edit. So like, my editor had a computer, I had a computer. We built a partnership with a really cool like video game peripherals company. It's called Razer. They make light up keyboards and mouse pads and all that stuff. And so all our workspaces kind of lit up and they look cool. We also had a partnership with Philips Hue light bulbs. So we had light bulbs that like change colors and hit to the beat of the music. And then we put up foam, like acoustic foam throughout. Yeah, right there. So that while my daughter was asleep, we could still film and stream and do our thing without waking her up. And then our fans started commenting like, dang, your guys' setup kind of looks like a space station. You got all these lights and cool equipment. It was in my basement at the time. And we're like, yeah, like, welcome to the space station. So we just started calling it the space station. And then as we hired more people and started more businesses, we outgrew it. And so we moved into this. This is Space Station 1.5. We've got the 2 rooms, drift carts, a half pipe, green screen, like just all the toys we need to create cool content. And then we're in the process of building Space Station 2.0 right now, which is on a new lot, and we're building it from scratch, and kind of has everything we need to film, create content, and have like a cool work environment.
Well, what's happening with the eSports team?
Esports team. So that's a huge opportunity right now. I feel like 90s was all about traditional sports like Stockton to Malone, Michael Jordan, the Bulls. Like, everyone was hyped on real sports in the 90s. And then in 2000s, extreme sports hit. And like Tony Hawk did the 900 and Shaun White and X Games was born. Like, extreme sports was the 2000s. Everyone wanted to be a professional snowboarder or something. And now these 2010s to 20s, I don't know what you'd call them, I feel like it's esports. Like, everyone's playing video games, and like, I remember my dad would watch a football game and I'd watch with him, and like, it felt cool. I was hanging out with my dad watching the game. I have buddies now that are my age who have like 8-year-old kids, and they sit down and watch competitive gaming with them or play video games with them. And I think that's kind of like the new competitive sport of this like generation is esports, video games. If you ask a kid now, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? He's probably gonna say like a YouTuber or a professional video gamer or a streamer on Twitch or something like that. And so I figured it would be a really cool place to enter into. I was passionate about it. We found the right opportunities, and we now have an esports organization that like has different teams that play different games, and we have some great teams. One of our teams is #1 in North America right now, and we continue to grow, and we're bringing on streamers and people that broadcast video games, and I don't know what's going to happen. That's just a fun one. That's kind of a passion project, but it's working out really well, so that's good.
That's awesome. I mean, you seem like, you know, you're born an entrepreneur. I ask a lot of people this question. Do you think that people are born to be entrepreneurs, or do you think it's something that we can learn?
I think there's personality types that make it easier to be an entrepreneur if you can personality profiling, know how to communicate with someone and like have that like connection. I think it's easy to be an entrepreneur. If you are very outgoing and you're very confident in yourself, it's easier to be an entrepreneur. I don't think it's necessary. I know some people that are very successful that are very like quiet and to themselves, but they had to like take their own route to find that success. Especially in my work of business, like I have to like make those connections with people, and I have to connect with my audience, and I have to be very outgoing. So my personality that I was born with definitely helped me become an entrepreneur and be successful in these businesses. But I don't think it is required. It just kind of depends on what route you're going.
What advice would you give sort of that graduating high school kid headed into college advice about, you know, career, family, you know, business? What advice would you give them?
Probably just like, I say this sometimes, but find something you're passionate about and just get after it. Because that's really what happened. Is I was passionate about skateboarding, snowboarding, and it led me to owning the skate shop, which led me to needing to figure out online. So I figured out online, which led me to figure out social media, and then I loved creating and sharing stuff and making videos, and so that led me to Snapchat and social media, which led me to YouTube. So if you follow what you're passionate about, it will lead you in the right direction, but you have to work hard to get there. You can't be passionate about something and just get lucky, you know?